As mentioned before, your niche plus your service plus your pricing model equals your offer. But there's actually another layer that I haven't addressed yet, and that's actually your framing. Because you can have the same offer, but frame it in two very different ways. So before we get into how to craft your offer, you need to understand the psychology behind a world-class offer first. You see, everyone buys things for a specific reason. The person who buys the McLaren, most of the time, unless they're a true petrol head, most of the time, they buy the McLaren because they want to feel validated. It's not because they care about how many horsepower it is, or what the 0 to 60 is, or how many cylinders it has, or whether it's turbocharged or naturally aspirated. These are all things they just use to justify their purchase. People buy with emotion, and then they justify with logic, and you must never forget that. People are buying because they're either running towards something or they're running away from something. But always remember that desperation is a far more powerful motivator than inspiration. When people feel pain, they are willing to pay more to make the problem go away. And I'll be honest, you can never be too brash about calling out someone's pain. Now, you do have to be discreet about it, otherwise you look like you have an ulterior motive and they won't trust you. So there is a little bit of a nuance to it. But here's how you call out someone's pain. The easiest way is just ask them questions, but keep it in a very inquisitive tone. Never ever sound like you're judging them. For example, you're having a tough time getting past X in revenue. Why could that be? Once again, keep it very inquisitive. The second way is discuss the effects. What's the knock-on consequences of this? For example, how does this affect your future vision or plans? And then you can go on to escalate the pain. Take it a step further. For example, if you don't get this sorted as soon as possible in your business, what would happen? And those are some ways that you can sort of investigate and dive deeper into the pain. But pain is not enough. There are a few more components that come into this equation. I mean, think about it. People walk around in pain all the time. Pain that they don't make enough money. Pain that they're overweight. Pain that they don't have success with the opposite sex. I mean, just because someone has a lot of pain in their life doesn't mean that they're going to take action on it. Now, obviously, the higher the pain is, the more likely they are to take action. But eventually, the pain must turn into action. And this happens when someone reaches their pain threshold. This is where there's enough pain that they are spurred into action. This is where desperation turns into inspiration. They're inspired to move forward and make a change. Now, everyone has a different pain threshold. Think about a messy room, for an example. I mean, I have certain friends where their room has a few empty cups and they can't work. They can't think clearly. They are so OCD about it. But I have other friends that genuinely need their rooms to become a safety hazard before they take any action. And this is true with potential clients. Some of them will be very low on the pain threshold, aka they can feel a little pain or a little problem and they are inspired to take action. For others, they will be higher on the pain threshold, and through experience you will come to know what type of person that you're dealing with. Now, let's say that someone has passed their pain threshold. The next thing that comes into the equation is certainty. And there's really two types of certainty. The first one is certainty that they need what you are offering. And the second one is certainty that you are the right person to offer it. And by the way, this is also just something important for you to know in business, in general, just in life. People must first decide that they want to go to the gym, and then they decide what gym is the right gym for them. People must first decide that they want to go to Paris, and only then do they decide what hotel in Paris that they want to stay at. So this is where your offer comes in. Your offer gives your potential clients certainty. If your offer is structured correctly and it's clear that it is the path to solving your prospects' problems, then they will buy. The next way to give your clients certainty is through you. And this is really done in two ways. Either by you having such strong conviction and such a strong understanding of your niche and what their pain points are, or by you having social proof and case studies to back you up. Now, I managed to get my first 10 clients by simply having such strong conviction in what it was I was offering, and by doing a bunch of role play sales call, even though my meetings were in person back in 2017. I had no name, no website, no testimonials, nothing, just pure conviction in what I was offering. And that was basically my first year of running an agency. Now, obviously, as time goes on, you'll start to have strong enough case studies that you can use those to sell your potential clients. And as I mentioned before, your niche plus your service plus your pricing model equals your offer plus your framing. Now, in the last module, we discussed your niche already. And in today's module, we need to discuss your service, your pricing model, and your framing. So let's go ahead and start off with your service. Now, in order to decide what service to offer, you need to ask yourself two questions again. The first is, what service do I have a competitive advantage in? And this means, do you have something that you're already good at? For example, I was a freelance creative, doing photo and video, and that's how I started my first ever agency, which was a content agency. So it was very easy for me to offer that as an agency service because I actually already knew how to do it. So if there's something that you already know how to do, majority of the time, you should just do that. It doesn't mean that you have to do it forever, but just to start with. Now, if you don't have anything, then you can just drop service it, and I'm gonna show you how to do this later. So you can just get someone else to deliver the services for you. But just remember that you still need to understand the functions of the service that you're offering in order to be able to sell it. Now, this doesn't take more than just a few days of research, so we're gonna go ahead and come back to this later. So for now, if there's nothing you personally have an advantage with, then you should pick the service that is going to get your clients the best results in your opinion and with the current state of the market. I'll give you an example. Running paid traffic for watch dealers hasn't worked very well for our previous students. Whereas on the flip side, making short form content and long form content for watch dealerships has worked very well in bringing in new business. So you could have an amazing niche, an amazing pricing model, and great framing, but if the service isn't the right service for that market and that niche, well, they're not going to stay with you very long. So I know at this point you're wondering what service is the best for getting clients results. And this is where being involved in the niche is so important, as if you're actually a business owner operating within it. The honest truth is that things change. Macro conditions change. One year, there will be one form of service delivery that works better, and another year, another type of service delivery works better. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to constantly change your service, because you're going to get so much better year by year that you're going to start to develop a competitive advantage with it. That just means that as you're getting into a niche, you might as well have the momentum of whatever service is in favor at that time. So when you stay involved with the niche that you're trying to go into, you're going to constantly stay in the loop. And if you're ever in doubt as well, as a last resort, you can refer to the community and the coaching calls to ask what services are currently performing well for what niches. Now, I don't want you using this as an easy way out of actually doing niche research and staying involved. So still do your niche research, still understand your market, but as I said, you can ask the community and the coaches. Now, I'm gonna give you some examples of services, but in the plug and play below, I'm gonna give you an even larger list. Short form content, lead generation through paid traffic, SEO services, thumbnail creation, high impact video editing, email marketing, building sales systems for clients, building automations for clients, creating UGC content for clients, reputation management, and anti-piracy. We have social media management, we have funnel building, we have web design, we have video script writing, we have ghost writing for Twitter/X, we have VSL creation, we have an appointment setting agency, and many, many, many more examples that we'll leave in the plug and play down below to at least get your mind thinking. Now, the next part of your offer is the pricing model. And your pricing depends on whether your service is an ROI offer or a convenience offer. An ROI offer is something that actually makes them money, whereas a convenience offer is something that just saves them time. For example, social media management is something that saves them time. You could have a Discord moderation agency, help people with their moderation of their Discord communities and the setting up of it. That is a convenience offer. It doesn't necessarily make them money, but it brings convenience and ease to their life. Same thing with social media management. Once again, if they are already uploading on YouTube and you're gonna come in and edit their videos for them, that's a convenience offer. It's something that's already being done, but you're giving the convenience of coming in, maybe doing it a little better, but there's no clear-cut ROI. An ROI offer is basically an offer where you can show that, hey, because I'm doing this, you are making more money. Now, you may not always be able to explain how much money you're making them, but you should be able to show some key metrics of, for example, let's say you have a YouTube thumbnail agency. Hey, because I did this, your click-through rate went from here to here, and because of that, we can estimate that X amount more people actually click through to the video, so this many more people watch the video, And from this amount of people, you can basically derive an amount of sales that they would have gotten because of it. Then it depends on how close to the money do you get them with your ROI offer. As you know, in a funnel, you have multiple steps that lead towards the sale and actually even beyond. So let's discuss some of those steps. You have awareness, making people aware of your client's product or your service. Then you have interest, and this is where they actually show some interest. So this can either be a lead, a booked call, an opt-in, something to basically show that they're window shopping. Then you have intent, and this is the next stage past interest. This is when someone shows a real intent to buy. This could either be a prospect that shows up to a call, a meeting, maybe an add to cart, or maybe a checkout attempt on an online product, or maybe even a deposit. And then you have a sale, and this is self-explanatory. This is what you get paid the highest amount for, but it also comes with the highest level of difficulty in delivering. And then you actually have a stage beyond that, and that's repeat customers. So when a customer purchases again, obviously this holds similar numerical value as a sale. You know, they make roughly the same amount of money, but the cost is much lower, and sometimes even zero depending on the service, for example, like email marketing. So that's actually even a step above that. So all of this to say that your pricing will depend on the outcome and the certainty that they will get that outcome. The closer the outcome is to money in the bank, the more that you can charge. And the higher the certainty, the more that you can charge as well. So now let me run you through some different pricing models that you can use. Now the first is retainer, and this is the simplest and easiest model that you can charge. The issue is that the clients need to have the highest level of conviction for this to work. So in my opinion, this is actually not the best model for beginners, but when you have an agency that has lots of conviction from the marketplace, it's definitely worth doing it. Then you have pay per project, very simple. Let's say you're doing a funnel creation for a client, you're creating a VSL for a client, maybe a video project for a client, maybe you're doing a Discord build out for a client, you know, you're helping them set up their Discord, make sure that they have good security in place, stuff like that. Basically anything that is a one-off project will just be pay per project. Simple enough. Then you have PPL, so pay per lead. And once again, this is simply lead generation. This is where you generate lead flow for your clients. And also bear in mind, the more you can also qualify the leads and help with lead nurture, and we're going to be going in depth on this later in the program, the more you can do that, the better. Then you have PPB. Now PPB is pay per booking. And this is the step above this. This is where you charge clients based on bookings or some sort of commitment that the lead has to show up to. For example, a sales call booking, or for a gym, it could be a 1-week free trial or 3 free sessions. The point is, here you're getting paid on bringing people through the door that have made some sort of commitment to give their time, but they haven't made the commitment to give money yet to your client. Next, we have percentage of ROAS. And this is really more for ad agencies specifically. This is where you take a percentage of the tracked revenue minus the ad spend. And this is what we used to do at my advertising agency for years. Now, what we used to do is we actually used to do a little bit more of an advanced version of this, where we would take clients, let's say the client historically in the last 6 months has averaged making $200,000 a month return on ad spend. So they're used to making 200 grand a month from their ads. So then we would take that as a benchmark. We would do a 20% buffer of safety, because to be honest, a lot of times clients would lie about it or try to inflate their numbers. So even after coming in, we would still try to do a 20% margin of safety. So we would set their benchmark at 160K. That's what they were able to achieve on their own. So anything above 160K, we would take a percentage of return on ad spend. So let's say, for example, we took a 5% percentage of ROAS. So with the example where it was 200K return on ad spend, if we were taking 5%, then immediately on day one, we were already taking 10 grand in billables because the client was already achieving that for themselves. Whereas this example, let's say we took them from 160 to 300, we were able to increase their baseline by 140K. And in that situation, we would take a 7,000 billable, plus we also had a small base fee that we were charging clients. So that was a little bit more of an advanced version of this. Next up, we have a percentage of sales. This works amazing for email marketing companies as an example, because there's basically no cost associated to getting that sale. You can also use this if you're offering short form content to help clients sell a low ticket offer, but this would not work well for ad clients. Then we have onboarding fee plus results. This is where you collect a small amount upfront to onboard clients. Now you must explain to them that onboarding is half of the overall work, when it comes to working with a client, because you need to study and know the finer details of their particular business. So once you charge them the onboarding fee, then you pick one of the performance only models. And a great example to use with this is credit cards. For example, the other month I was setting up the American Express Centurion, the black card service they have. I think I paid $10,000 per currency of card that I had. And then from there, it's $5,000 a year. So even with credit cards, it's very normal where they charge you like an onboarding fee, or you even have it with private members clubs I'm a part of. They charge you an onboarding fee, and then it's a set amount from there. So most of your clients will be used to this sort of upfront onboarding fee, setup fee style. The eighth one we have is guarantee minus difference. And over the years, I've actually just called this a paid trial. And this is where you charge upfront for a certain result. For example, let's say you're going to tell clients you're getting them 50 leads for $2,000, but whatever you fall short of, you refund. So in this instance, you're valuing a lead at $40 because $2,000 divided by 50 is $40 per lead. So let's say you only get them 25 leads. Well, then you refund them $1,000 in service fee. And in my opinion, this is a great model for beginners to get their foot through the door, because it's the closest thing to a free trial while still getting financial commitment from your client. Now, with this model, do not spend the money until the month is up and you have fulfilled your obligations. Do not even imagine this is your money until a few months later. You never want to be in a situation where a client pays you $2,000, you don't deliver the results you think you could, and then now all of a sudden you've blown the money on some stupid shit. Now I need to finish off this pricing model section by biting your ear off about free trials. In the high ticket agency model world, a free trial will never ever convert to a paid trial. Firstly, people do not value that which is given to them for free. In fact, a lot of times if something is free, they think something is wrong with it, specifically with services. And a lot of the times, free comes with so many catches that people are scarred by it. For example, with me, I don't accept free interns because it cost me and it cost my company more in time to train someone up for free than it costs to just pay for it outright, pay for someone who's skilled. So that's why I recommend stay away from free trials. For me, the only time there's really a place for free trials is if it's a family friend or maybe just a friend in general, or someone you know that you don't really need to pitch on your free services. And the understanding with them will be clear and there won't be any funny business. So that's why I always recommend a paid trial, aka you minus the difference of what you didn't deliver on, because then that way, at least you experience getting money through the door. Now, I have given you an array of pricing models. So this really starts to get your mind working. But I know that you are still wondering, how much do I actually charge? And here is the honest truth. You charge whatever you feel conviction that you can charge. I was 17 years old closing clients for $2,500, $2,000 a month because I had conviction. I had no agency name, no website, no contractors, just pure conviction, and that's it. And maybe, by the way, that's because my first client was for 380 pounds a month. In fact, I didn't even charge them monthly. I pitched them at 95 pounds a week. And by the way, that was 95 pounds a week. And I was working way more than 9 hours a week on average. So I was working below minimum wage. And that was my first ever client back when I was 16 years old. And I really want to make it clear that we all start somewhere. So at the beginning, sometimes poverty pricing is okay. Sometimes when you first get started, if you charge a client $100, that's fine because that's your first win. That doesn't mean that you need to continue on like that. Sometimes if you start off small and you start off cheap, that's okay. As I said, we all start somewhere. I started off charging my clients less than minimum wage. I could have worked at McDonald's and made more money than I was making on a per hour basis from my agency. But that is where I started. That's not where I ended. That's not where my goal was. So just start small and work your way up. And as I said, this is the 4th iteration of this program. I used to have fancy calculators. I used to literally make calculators that you could input things and it would come out with the right equation of what you should charge clients. And I came to realize that you could have the right number. This is the correct number to charge clients. But at the end of the day, if you don't have conviction in yourself, if you don't think that you are worth that, it does not matter. It's irrelevant. So charge what you feel like you have conviction, and that's it. You know what? Maybe even charge an amount where you're like, maybe that's a little too cheap. And for you, that might mean $300 a month. But that's fine because your barometer will go up and up and up. You need to start small and work your way up from there. Confidence comes from competence. The more competent, the more able you feel, the more confident you are, which in turn means that you can charge more. And I just want to say one last final thing that will put your soul at ease. Everyone is still trying to figure this shit out. You, me, and even multi-billion-dollar companies. Everyone is finding the right pricing model, and testing pricing takes time. Your first few clients will be messy. I know that mine definitely were. Just understand that what you charge and how you charge your first client will be drastically different to how you do it in 1 year or how you do it in 3 years. So don't overthink this. There is no right answer or no perfect formula. Only you know the answer of what pricing model and how much you should charge. Only you can build your own conviction. It is a process, so take it step by step. Now, the last thing to discuss is framing, because how you package an offer is just as important as the offer itself. Listen, you can either call your offer video editing for YouTubers, or you can call it high impact video editing that mesmerizes your audience and has them reaching for their wallets. There's a very big difference in those two. With the first example of the framing, you have positioned yourself as a convenience offer, and with the second example of the framing, you have positioned yourself as an ROI offer, something that actually makes money. It could be the exact same editor. It could be the exact same editing agency. You could be doing the exact same shit, but the framing of it means that you can charge very different amounts. And when it comes crunch time, when it's 3 or 4 months in and your client goes, you know what, should I keep the video editing agency or should I keep the high impact video editing agency that mesmerizes my audience and has them reaching for their wallets? Which one should I keep? What do you think? So you can call yourself a lead generation agency for real estate agents, or you can frame it as we run a machine that gets real estate agents 30 vetted leads on demand every month, guaranteed. Now listen, I just came up with some random examples on the fly here. I'm sure I could have framed it much better if I had the time, but you need to sit down and write down 10 different framings to your offer. And then work with the coaches inside of Agency Accelerator, work with the coaches inside the coaching calls, the community, and also get feedback from your peers. And I also want you to speak with some of your market, speak with your family, and even speak with your friends outside of the online business world and get their opinion. See what they think. See what they find too complicated, because sometimes you can make your offer too complicated. And eventually you're going to find the right framing that has the right ring to it. Now down below, I'm going to leave examples of different ways that you can frame a regular offer and the way that you can spice it up and make sure that your clients are more excited to pay, are less likely to leave you because you framed it in the correct way in their best interest. So next thing I want to discuss is, should you negotiate with your clients on price? And the truth is, the second you negotiate with your clients on price, they lose respect for you and you are less likely to keep them long-term. But the truth is, at the beginning, it doesn't matter. You know, I can honestly sit here and say that we should play these mind games of how valuable we are and we should do these affirmations and this and that. But at the end of the day, the market can see through the bullshit. So when you're first starting, AKA your first few months, maybe even your first half year, yeah, feel free to negotiate with your clients. If your clients want to push back on price, make it cheaper, once again, only you will know the answer. Ask yourself honestly, maybe this is your first client, and you try to charge your client $1,500 a month, and they've come back and they want it at $800 a month. Ask yourself honestly, if you lost a deal, even though it's pretty much half of what you tried to pitch them at, would you be upset? If the answer is yes, then just take the deal. Because there will come a time in 6 months or 12 months or in 18 months where if you pitch a client $3,000 and they say, no, listen, I'll only do it for $2,500 or $2,000, where you genuinely will be good and you'll be like, okay, well then I don't care, then I'm like, fuck off. But that is only developed over time. You can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to the market. So sometimes, as I said, don't be afraid, don't be ashamed to take on these little poverty pricing things. If you told me when I first started my agency that the highest billable in a single month, I don't remember the exact amount. I mean, I'm sure I can walk inside and ask Luis, because I think at that point he had just come on as a paid intern at the agency, but it was somewhere high 30s, low $40,000. So if you told me when I first started that I'll be charging a client $40,000-ish in a single month, in one single billable, and obviously 90% of that was made up from our performance fee. If you had told me that when I signed my first client at 95 pounds a week, I would have thought that that was insane. But in 5 years of running an agency from 2016 to 2021, but that's how far I had come in terms of my pricing, what we were charging as an agency, and also what I was willing to accept. Back in 2021, I was not willing to work with a client unless it was minimum $20,000 guaranteed. So whether that be a guarantee of roughly $6,000 for a 3-month minimum, or if it was only $3,000 a month, but we guaranteed and locked in a 6-month minimum for that specific contract, or if we locked in only $3,000 a month, but it was 6-month minimum for that specific agreement with the client. The point is that I would not touch anything less than $20,000 in guaranteed income from that client. If it was $16,000, would not touch it. If it was $15,000, would not touch it. I was not willing to budge. But once again, that's after half a decade of running the business. So just understand what you are doing today is not what you should be doing next year, and vice versa. So ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up today's module. Just understand that the only way you can build a good offer is by understanding your niche. So please, the last module, go back and rewatch it twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. When you intimately understand your market and you intimately understand your niche, you will be able to craft and put together offers that will make the sales process so buttery, so simple, so smooth. And this is honestly what I was always so strong at. I was so strong at putting together strong offers for my clients that I've openly admitted I am not good at sales. That was my weakest skill set as an agency owner. I was never particularly good at sales, but I was just so good at putting together offers that made sense for my clients and made sense for their specific needs that I was basically able to sign any client I wanted whenever I wanted. That I was basically able to sign any client that got on a call with me. So ladies and gentlemen, understand your niche, put together an incredible offer, put together an offer that makes sense for where you are in your journey. And just remember, there's no shame in starting off small. I started off small. Any single person I know that had success in this business model started off small. This is just day one of a long road, a beautiful road, and I'm so excited for you to experience it. So on that note, I'll see you in the next module.